Hello and welcome to probably what is my first review of doing the PS3 and PS Vita version of a game together. So this is a PS3 and PS Vita review of Street Fighter X Tekken, which you have no idea how hard it is for me to say that, because all I and any of my mates called it when it was first announced was X Tekken, not Cross Tekken. So to find out we've been saying it wrong all this time, it's taken a little while to get used to, so I apologise if I keep calling it X Tekken or something like that, because that's the other thing. We would then abbreviate it so that one was X Tekken and the other was X Street Fighter in our minds. So again, apologies if I say that at any point during the vid. So anyway, I will be able to actually show off the Vita and the PS3 crossplay. I'll show off both versions. I'll start on the PS3 and then I'll end with the Vita, because otherwise it means constantly setting the camera up here, there and everywhere, and that'll just really annoy my brother who edits these videos when he gets the time to. So it's one of those things that for ease I'll just start with the PS3 and end with the Vita. Anyway, at the start you've got arcade versus network, training, challenge, customized player data, options and store where you download the content. They should all be pretty familiar and simplistic and basically leap out of your what to do by now, because pretty much every Capcom fighter, whether it's Street Fighter 4 or Marvel and art, tends to have the same setup, just different characters and different things. Anyway, you can fully customize your controls, you can choose sound and screen settings, you can do an install, you can do your cross-link settings and that. For now, I'm not going to be showing off the challenges because they always just do me head in, especially trying to show them and try to do them. It's always a case of challenges aren't really challenges, they're like pull off certain moves, and I can't stand them. I don't know why they insist on adding them. Trainings, obviously there's not much point in showing that. I won't be showing any online off because it always then means finding a game that's not laggy. So for now I'll be sticking to arcade because I'm on my own. The game is actually co-op as well as versus, so you can have each of you controlling a character. You can choose fight request on and off while you're playing, so that way you don't have to be worried about getting bugged, and there is a whole ton of difficulty settings, which for now, in the interest of being able to pull off moves and not get me butt kicked, I'm going to simply go for easiest in one round, so that way as well I'll get to show off more characters, as I'll be showing off some computer characters as well. Overall there are 55 fighters on this game, and 3 of them can't be played as in the arcade, which are basically the 2 little cats and Cole McGrath. I think it's Toro and Kuro, because I can't play them on the arcade and I'm systematically going through the arcade. It means that I'm struggling to remember the name. I'd have to go into versus, and that would mean I'd have to get someone round who isn't round. So for now, the 2 cats, simple as. You've got a whole heap of characters from Tekken and Street Fighter, obviously, with some characters like, for example, Yoshimitsu, who's actually was also like in Soul Calibur and that, so that's kind of cool. And you've got Cole McGrath is obviously from Infamous. You've got Mega Man from the Mega Man series, Pac-Man from the Pac-Man series, and you've got some characters from the Street Fighter Alpha series and some characters from the Street Fighter series, and Poison, who I believe has never been in any of them. I think she was made just for this game. I honestly can't remember us playing as Poison before. I think she was made purely to give Hugo a tag team partner, because Hugo is obviously, for anyone who doesn't know, basically based on Andoria from the Final Fight series, and Poison was one of the slappers, they would be called in the UK, kind of like streetwalkers, prostitute type people, who was also in Final Fight. Same as how you've also got Cody and Guy from Final Fight, so they're all on the same role, which is quite cool. Anyway, enough talking about them, time to actually get into playing with some of the characters. I'll choose good old Bison for now, and I'll choose Hayachi. So to be fair, I'm choosing the original bosses, because, well, not that Bison was the Street Fighter 1 boss, but he was probably the most infamous Street Fighter boss, and I do believe Hayachi was the boss ever since Tekken 1. I'll be honest, never actually played many Tekken games. I think I've probably only played 4, and that includes some spin-offs as well, so not even 4 from the main series. And this would be one of them that I'm classing, so this is what I mean, not even 4 from the mains or anything. Anyway, It's a bit of an odd setup with the fact that you don't have to beat both characters, you only have to beat one character. So it's not like Marvel vs. Capcom where all characters have to die for you to win, you just have to beat one. So if you open up with getting your ass whooped as one character, switch over to the other one if you want any chance to winning the actual, well, fight. Graphically the game looks really good, musically I think it sounds really good, and I will shut up for a bit to like listen to the music right about now. So that was a little bit of the music. Now onto a wall of information. It's the only thing I can pretty much call this because I've got so much to now see it. There's a few little niceties with the fact that you can choose all of the voices to be Japanese, all of them to be English or a mixture, and you can actually fully customize. So it's not a case of you can go for what it recommends, you can actually choose. If you want Kazuya to speak English, you can have him speak in English. If you want him speaking Japanese, you can have him speak in Japanese. If you want him to be the only character that speaks English or Japanese, you can make that possible. So I think that's quite cool. Gameplay wise, it's your standard 6-button fighter with the fact that you've got your light, medium and hard. You've then got some other things like launchers which automatically swap over a character. You've got the ability to create quick combos in the customization menu, which some of them can end with that, and it means that when you push 2 buttons together you'll do that quick combo. Obviously you can swap characters at any time by hitting the swap button. One of the most interesting things about the game was obviously everyone wanted to know how the Tekken characters were going to play with special abilities, because they don't have special abilities. I actually think they've done an amazing job, and some of the Tekken characters play better than the Street Fighter characters. I can't wait to now see cross Street Fighter, because there's some Street Fighter characters like Vega, Balrog, Dudley that I think are going to really excel. Zangief as well, throw him in there in X Street Fighter when no one will have special powers. At least that is to my understanding, that's the whole point. One's built on the Street Fighter engine, the other on a Tekken engine. Either way, I can't wait for it to come out. One of the things I'll mention is the whole controversy with the on-disc DLC. It's something that pissed everyone in the gaming world off, because quite frankly it was an audacious move, and it's just something that you don't do. It's not good business. Capcom at least came out and apologised and said sorry for doing it, so I'm at least happier with that, because they've said that they're going to avoid doing it in the future, which is good, as again it's just a horrible business practice as far as I'm concerned. But one of the cool things that they've done to almost make up for it, when you buy the Vita version, and I am so glad I refused to buy any DLC from the PS3 version, when you buy the Vita version, you actually get the 38 costume pack for both systems, and you get the character pack for the PS3. You don't get it for the Vita because they're already built in, unlocked. So it meant that all of a sudden I was like so annoyed and refusing to buy the DLC to got to the point that now I've got the DLC because I refused to buy it. I was always buying the Vita version because my brother's not that keen on this, so I thought I'd rather have it on a system where I can play it by myself, just go through the arcade, unlocking all of the endings and not bothering him. And now that the DLC's are there, he seems to be slightly more interested in playing it, so I'm hoping that it's got a positive result because of that. Anyway, so I just wanted to basically say that for anyone who hasn't bought the PS3 version yet, or was thinking about it, or hasn't bought the DLC, just basically warning you, don't buy any DLC. If you're getting the Vita version, you will get it. Now yes, there has been some problems with that, and they've came out and they've now said November 6th they'll release everything for free that you should have got, because some people aren't getting the full thing. I myself haven't got the costumes on the PS3 version, which is why I will be showing costumes off on the Vita version. But for now, I'll probably have to do one more cut in order to show off the cross-link. But everything else that I've got to see here, I'll save for on the Vita, because otherwise it will be cut into the Vita for 10 seconds of gameplay. What's the point? And there are still quite a few things I haven't mentioned, like the gem system, the customization. Obviously you're seeing it's now kind of doing the fight your rival thing that used to appear in Street Fighter 4, where you're only fighting one character instead of two characters. But it just means that basically he's a little tougher than he would be, and it's a decent system. It works well. I quite like it when it happens, but apart from that, there's not really much else I can say, so I'll sort out the Vita now. Well, it's now connected, and as you can see here, it's got L2, R2, and then also casual style, which you can turn on or off. I'll be honest, using it, I'm noticing a bit of input lag. This is the first time I've actually decided to use it. I thought I'd save it for the review, because it's not exactly something I'd rather do, because I'd rather just either play the game on the PlayStation or play the game on the Vita. I don't really understand why they seem to like to do this. I mean, don't get me wrong, if there's people out there who like it, then great. If there's other people like me thinking, what the hell, then at least you're not alone. But let's see what it actually plays like fighting then, so let's get this loaded up. Right, now that it's loaded up, I can quickly show you this before the game starts and I get my arse handed to us. Basically, the touch function of the Vita, when you actually play the game on the Vita properly, then you do get 6 extra buttons to make up for the fact that you're losing 4 buttons. Basically, they're virtual buttons, so you can put them in the corners of the screen and 2 on the back touch screen. So I don't use the back touchscreen ones, because as I've voiced in many a PS Vita vid, I absolutely hate them. I don't think the back pad works at all. But the 4 extra buttons does make up for the fact that you're losing L2, R2, L3, R3, and I think it works well as long as you make the right side buttons the triple punches and triple kicks, so that way when you have to do super moves that revolve around using both of those, then it's just like touching another button really. I think if you make them on the left, then it's going to be very hard to do a fireball style action and then quickly push them on the left. And I've just realised you're actually watching what's on the screen, not what's in my hands, so the entire time I've just pointed to the corners there, you won't have been able to see that. That's a bit of a stupid moment, that really. Anyway, gameplay wise, it is actually playing well. The menu was lagging, this isn't, so it is a viable option I suppose, even if the only real reason to do it is to show off to your friends and say, hey look, I've got a Vita. Which, personally, if you're doing that, then, yeah, I just can't really say anything else about it. So let's actually go on to where you can see the Vita and not the TV screen. So this will be the Cross Tekken Vita portion of the review, where I'll mention the things like the gems and that, like I said earlier. So, on to the Vita version now. That's why the sound's gone, because as I've said, in case you haven't watched one of my Vita reviews before, getting the sound levels right, because I'm constantly moving the Vita about and where the speakers are, it's just a nightmare because of where I am and getting it so that you can hear me and the game at the same time. So I sacrificed sound overall and went for just you can hear me, and it's just one of those things. So anyway, that's a quick explanation for people who've never watched a Vita review before and mainly watched the PS3 reviews. So, gem system. I personally can't stand it, especially on the Vita. It makes no sense whatsoever, the fact that it enforces you to use the touchscreen, which just is very finicky, because look at how big my fingers are and look at how small those little characters are, and then there's actually going into the characters, and then there's moving their gems around and things like that. And the gems are basically, it's probably the reason why there's a lot of people saying the game has balancing issues. At least it is in my mind, because some of the gems can make you more powerful, they can make you charge your attacks up more. It's just things like that. The only problem is though, you have to buy some of the gems, like with real money, not in game money or anything like that. So it's not an unlock system like a Call of Duty or anything like that. You have to buy them, so it then means who's got the biggest pocketbook wins. It's why it's personally, whenever I play the game, I'll use them against the computer, but whenever I'm playing versus, we just switch them off, me and my mates, because we just go to one of the profiles which we've left dormant, because you get 5, I believe, so we always go to number 4 where there's no gems present. I don't know, maybe it then auto-assigns gems and we're not realising, but either way, that's what we do. The quick combo meter I've mentioned before, the character colour is pretty much, you can just customise your character's colours, so there's not really much point for that. But anyway, there's pretty much gameplay wise, that is pretty much me done. I really can't think of anything else to do. I mean, I can mention Burst Kumite, I don't think I've done that yet, which is an endless battle, so it's basically a survival style mode. But mainly all I'm going to be doing now is showing off some gameplay so you can see the differences. There's not much in terms of graphics. I mean, there's definite noticeable drop, and there's noticeable load increase times as well. I find that loading on this one can take quite a bit longer. But the thing I wanted to really mention is something that has kind of annoyed me. I'm not going to mention the site, but there is a website out there that give the PS3 version and the Xbox version a 9 out of 10, and then they give the Vita version a 6.6 out of 10, which is a 2.4 drop. Now, you'd think anyone who looks at scores, and this is exactly why I don't do scores, would just immediately think the Vita version's horrid, there's something wrong with it, it's got to be for 2.4. Actually, it's because 7 months down the line, the reviewers decided to mention that the balancing issues are actually a deal breaker for him. So, in other words, they haven't went back and re-edited the original review to give them both a 6.6, so that way people could see that both versions are the same. I mean, don't get me wrong, this is probably half a point in. If I were to score it, I'm not going to mention the score, but if I were to score the two together, this is probably a half a point down, because it's a bit more finicky to use some of the controls, and the graphical drop and the loading times. Like, it's minuscule stuff though, really. It's just the sort of thing that, as I said, in the grand scale of things, it's certainly not an unplayable game, but it's certainly smoother on the PS3. But for a 2.4 drop, you'd think there was a major game breaker there, and not in the fact that it has balancing issues, which is, again, why I've mentioned in other games, fighting games, beat-em-up games, whatever you want to call them, that I don't like huge playlists, because, I mean, there's 55 characters, there'll be 54, I'd imagine, on the Xbox 360 version, because you're not going to get Cole, because he's infamous, but I don't know if you get someone from the Xbox series, because I've not played it or anything. But because of that, it means trying to balance 55 characters is just an absolute nightmare. You're never going to be able to get it so that everyone's on the same playing field. Add together this stupid gem system, and it was always going to be a problem. So it's something that you can play for fun with your friends, and it's something that you can probably have a bit of a laugh with online, even if you get a bit of lag, and it's something you can play on your own if you just like fighting games like I do. I mean, I've got 4 on my Vita already, you know, I absolutely love them. I've been a fan ever since my brother got us hooked on Street Fighter 2. But it's just not the sort of thing that if you're into competitive fighting or anything, I don't think you're going to find this enjoyable, because there is definitely, well, there's a lack of a competitive edge when it boils down to he with the best gem setup of the best character setup, and no one's able to touch them unless you've got the exact opposite play style. It as I say, balancing is a bit of a problem, and it's a shame. It's just one of those, though, that, as I say, as a fighting game as a whole, I think it's a fun, good game. I'm glad I bought it. I'm especially glad I waited until the Vita version came out before I even contemplated getting DLC, because, as I say, I've turned out to get them free. So, just again, to reiterate, you will get them free. So, if you can find the two games for cheap, I mean, this cost us 30 quid brand new, and the other one I got at £25 second hand months ago. I've just literally not wanted to buy the DLC or anything. You can probably pick in fact, I know you can pick the PS3 version up for £13 online. I've seen it all over the place. So £43 for the two games with all of the DLC, it's not a bad price to pay, considering the fact that the PS3 alone would have cost you 40 quid, and then the DLC packs would have cost you, I think it's £8 for the costumes, and I think it was something like £12 to £15 for the characters, and you would have had to have duplicated that over the two systems. So if you want to get both, I think you're definitely spending your money wisely. If you only want to get one or the other, I'd say get the PS Vita version, because you're not going to have any hidden costs. If you don't really care about the hidden costs and wanting to buy the DLC or anything, and you want a smoother experience, get the PS3 version. That's pretty much all I can say, though. So there we go then. That's been the review. I hope you found it helpful. I don't score the games because that's based purely on opinion, so instead I'll leave you to make your own mind up. So thanks for watching, and if you've got any questions about the game that I didn't answer in the vid, or that hasn't been answered in the comments, then feel free to ask and I'll help if I can. Also, if you did find it helpful, don't forget to check out my channel, because there's plenty more like this up there, and don't forget to subscribe, because there'll be plenty more to come as well. So until next time, this has been Demon212, signing off.